Hi guys, so today we're going to look at some color grading iPhone footage. I'm just going to show you a couple of techniques. One is using color correction that's built into Final Cut, and the other is using a LUT. Different kind of results, different tweakabilities and whatnot. But yeah, we'll jump right into it. So the first clips that you saw on the little intro were just brought in from the iPhone, did a bit of correction and a little grade, put a little grade on there. And I have duplicated those clips. This is what I brought in straight off the bat from the iPhone. It looks pretty good using the Osmo mobile and the Moondog Labs anamorphic lens. Pretty nice, but there's a few issues. Now, before we even start correcting the color here, and the image is pretty good as it stands, something I've noticed while I'm recording is that I seem to get some strange moire kind of effects on usually bricks and certain colors and cars. I'll show you here. If I zoom in and we just look at this car here and we play the video, you can see it looks a bit strange. Now, something I've kind of messed around with and found helps out a lot here is adding a Gaussian blur. You can find it in the effects menu and just Gaussian. We drop it on the footage and we just add a tiny little bit, and it actually makes a big difference, especially when we zoom out. I'll show you without. You can see the car going a bit strange, and then if I add it in just a tiny little bit, see, kind of improves the car. And there was a little bit on the brickwork here as well. That's just my brother being silly in the video. Right, so what we want to do is we go into the color correction, which is in Final Cut's built-in, one of Final Cut's built-in effects. In the color folder in effects, we drop that onto the clip. Now, for those of you who don't know how to read one of these, this is a scope, and this is the Luma waveform. I like to just kind of have it up, usually on a second screen, but I've condensed it all into the screen for this tutorial. So this tells us, for those of you that don't know what this is, basically tells us the lightest parts up here, which is pure white, the darkest parts of the image here, which is pure black. Very simple, and the quick way to actually correct the color that comes in is we go to our exposure tab here. Now we have independent control over the shadows, the blacks here, midtones here, the greys, and the whites, which are here, we call the highlights. Now, looking at this image here, we want basically our image to come as close to 0, which is black in the shadows, and as close to pure white in the highlights. Now, the problem with iPhone footage that I've found is that skies and bright whites tend to really blow out the image, and it doesn't handle deep blacks too well either. We can try and maybe drop the shadows a little bit, tiny little bit, maybe just 1 or 2%. What we'll see though is we'll start to lose a lot of detail here in the fence where it's very dark. If we push it much further than that, and also see it's just kind of crumbling now. Just maybe touch it down a tiny bit, maybe 1% or so, and even 1% can make a bit of a difference. Now, something else we could probably do here is just bring the mid-tones up by about 4%, and this is kind of down to personal preference really. There's no right or wrong, but it's just what you're kind of looking for in that particular image. And if we look at before and after, we've made a bit of a difference. It's kind of it's all little things here that make a big difference in the long run. It's cumulative. So we could say that that's nicely corrective. We're not going to look at the white balance because iPhones tend to get the white balance very good automatically. It's not true all the time, but most of the time, and this looks pretty good. You can see this car here, it's pretty white. So we'll move straight on. So into the grade itself. Right, now what we're trying to do here is we're going to emulate an old film process that is very popular in kind of fashion-y type editorial photo shoots, videos, that kind of thing, and music videos as well, which is a kind of like, it's called a cross-processing look, and it's kind of a magenta-y tint. When you see it, it was in the first shot in the intro, you'll kind of, yeah, it will make sense to you. So what we need to do to start with this grading is go into the color tab here. Again, we've got independent control of shadows, midtones, and highlights. And the idea is that we're going to take our shadows and we're going to pull them into magenta. So we grab our puck and we bring it over here and immediately start to see some kind of purple hue come over the image here. Now, to balance this purple hue here, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our highlights. We're going to go to green and stick some green into the highlights. And why we do this is because and this applies to a lot of color grading theory, is that we use complementary colors. If you look at the color wheel, I'll try and put one up now. You can see that they are opposing colors, or they're complementary colors rather, on the wheel. They're opposite, and that means that we use that to kind of pull colors in a grade and give us a nice kind of balanced image. Can grab our midtones as well because we want to preserve the skin tones. We'll go to the green. We'll take a little bit of that out of the midtones. And that there is not looking too bad. Now if we kind of toggle it, that's the basic image, and that is now the kind of graded image. It's not looking too bad at all. Like if we play it through, it's probably maybe a bit extreme. Again, it's down to personal taste whether you want it that strong. You can always pull the purple back a little bit. Bring the green down a touch. Yeah, make it a bit more subtle maybe. Again, you can go as extreme as you kind of want with this. That's kind of nice. Again, see we're losing some of the detail here in the fence. You could lighten that up. What I tend to do, once I've kind of done my correction and grade, I'll bring in another color correction and maybe bring a little bit back with the midtones or the highlights. I'm not going to do it now, it's pretty self-explanatory. Again, it's down to shot and it's down to personal preference. But yeah, that is how I would kind of go around doing simple, quick grade on that shot. Obviously, you can go in as deep as you want in terms of secondaries and things like that, but anyway. Right, another way we can do this is by using a LUT. I'm sure you've all heard of these, probably use them as well. Right, but before we put that on, if we use the color correction here, we're going to get our graded footage. So I've got another color correction that I just put in, and I've just done some correction on it. So I've just basically tinkered with the exposure. So that sets us up nicely to just load the LUT on, and there you go, bang. Got it in one. There's the same kind of look. Now, it's not exactly the same, slightly different. For this look, I've used a LUT by Lutify Me from a free pack. You can pick up on their website. I'll put a link. I believe this one is Hoolandite, and as you can see, gives us something that's not a million miles away. Ours is a bit different, but I could probably get to the LUT look with a little bit of tinkering with the exposure. I think that it looks a little bit darker than our one. Don't want to put them on top of each other. It's going to be overkill. But yeah, very nice. There's the kind of similar effect. So it's simple as that. If it's too strong, you can adjust the mix slider here. Now, I just loaded that using a LUT loader. You can pick one up. There's a lot of available options that are free as well. I can link to that too. Yeah, bang, done. So I don't want to make this video too long. It's already getting really long. We'll move straight into the next clip, and we'll look at the old teal and orange look. So this is how the clip looked. My brother's staring right at me there. Now, bang. Again, subtle, but still kind of has that effect. What I did here was a quick bit of correction. We won't go through that now. Color wise, as you can see, shadows pulled into teal, highlights pulled into orange, and if we if we wanted again to make this more extreme, we could push teal, we could push orange even further. It kind of warms up the whole shot. Even though this was shot in winter, it kind of starts to look like it's a bit of a summery scene almost. Again, saturation wise, desaturated the shadows. If we play the footage, yeah, it's not looking too bad. Again, I added a Gaussian blur because the building was looking a bit strange here. Without it, it's a big difference. And yeah, same theory applies really. In terms of the LUT, if we load that on, bang, there you go. Siri's just going crazy in the background. But yeah, this LUT looks really good. This is, I think, the M31 LUT, which a lot of people have used by Osiris, I believe. It's free as well. Pick it up quite easily online, and yeah, gives us a good result. So, two ways of doing teal and orange manually here, and again, you've got a lot of control over how far you want to take it. And as you can see, the image holds up quite well to even some extreme settings. Some blowout here, again, not much we can do about that after the moment, but still, yeah, there you go. Anyway, one more thing I want to show you quickly was if we actually look at a gradient here, we can see what a LUT actually does to a black and white gradient. See, it actually affects a lot of the values in the image. I found that quite interesting. If you want to try it, just pick out a gradient from the gradient tool and just load LUTs onto it. You see what they do. Anyway, yeah. Thanks for watching. If you like this, subscribe and like the video. And I hope this helped you. Cheers.